welcome to the podcast. My name's Eric.
Celeste, nice to meet you.
Well, I'm really glad to meet you because I don't think I've ever met anyone from South Africa in my whole life.
This will be my first time meeting someone from America as well, so it's pretty interesting.
Awesome. Hell yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, just a little history on, I started doing these podcasts probably about just less than a year ago. And it was kind of a spontaneous thing. We had started a YouTube channel, an Airsoft YouTube channel like 3 years ago. And we were doing like unboxings and reviews on the guns we would get from the boxes. And then two of the guys on our channel are my sons. And then one of the guys that got them into it is one of their good friends. So we all four started the channel. They would go play and I would edit and film and all that kind of stuff. So I would take care of all this stuff. Well, then about less than a year ago, they got busy with life, different things in their jobs and their relationships. And so our channel, we didn't really have a whole lot of content. So I was just looking for something to kind of do for our viewers and talk with our viewers. And that's where the podcast came up. I started talking with these guys and I was like, let's start recording it. And it was completely spontaneous. And then probably in the last 2 months, I started meeting a bunch of people in the UK, in Canada, and, airsofters, and talking with them. And it just kind of snowballed from there, I guess. And then you and I met just recently online. And so I've been reaching out to a bunch of airsofters over the last few months, just seeing if they want to get on here and talk about their experience.
That's awesome, though. I mean, one of the things I've noticed from Airsoft is everyone in the community, no matter where you are in the world, is so friendly and just easy to talk to. I've spoken to people from everywhere in this country and other countries. Just reaching out of it, it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I found too. And for somebody like myself that has not been to the field but a couple times with these guys over the last 3 years, it's really cool to see because, I'm kind of like on the outside looking in. And when I started talking with people and meeting a bunch of people on here in Airsoft, I was like, wow, this is a really cool community. Like I have not met one person that has been, rude or just... Everyone is really, it's a different kind of hobby that really kind of welcomes the new players, where a lot of hobbies, they don't, it's kind of unusual,
When I first started Airsoft, I used to play paintball, so I was used to that kind of vibe from people. And then my first ever game, I didn't even play. I just went as photographer for the day just to see how things are.
Yeah.
And immediately, everyone was so welcoming and they all started really trying to get me into it and making sure I enjoy it. So from there, it's just kind of snowballed into this just second life of mine, basically, because I'm at the airsoft field every weekend. I choose that over going anywhere else. It's just become a huge part of my life on my side now.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I've heard across the board with everyone I've talked to. Is once they got like to their first, gameplay or whatever, once they got into Airsoft, like I've talked to a lot of people where they were hesitant to, play Airsoft. They were like, nah, or they had a friend or a boyfriend or, girlfriend or whatever that was like trying to get them into it. And they were like, no, I don't want to, no, that's whatever, And then once they went, they were hooked, right away.
Everyone I've spoken to who's a new player or is a bit hesitant to try it, by the end of the day, they just look at you and go, this is so addictive. I can see I'm going to be spending all my money on this. And I said, you have no idea, but it's worth it.
Right? No kidding. Yeah, that's the other thing across the board is once people get into it, they're like, yeah, I was doing fine and my bank account took a crap because I got into Airsoft. Oh, yeah.
We actually have a joke whenever we have kids coming to the field. We'll look at the parents and say, hey, this is a good way to keep them out of trouble because they won't have money to go do anything else besides this.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's, there's a lot of fields that I was just listening to a podcast a couple weeks ago, a different one where the guy that was on there as a guest owns his own airsoft field, and he has a lot of younger kids come in on like the open play, Saturday mornings and afternoons, and he is always interacting with the parents like, hey, this is a great, we're like the babysitters. Go ahead, drop them off. They'll be here all day. It's safe. Everything's fine. But and then once their son or daughter comes like the first time, they're there almost every weekend, coming back.
I see so many kids say, no, 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 I'm hesitant to play, or I'm just here because of my friend. And then 2, 3 weeks down the line, you see them every weekend from there.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see because a lot of the players do take a babysitter role. So they'll make sure the kids are with them the entire time, having fun, because that's the biggest part of airsoft. It's not what gun you have or anything like that. It's just as long as you have fun. That's the biggest thing for it.
Right. I like that they're, you got the people that once they get into it, they have, they start getting the Gucci gear, like all the good stuff. And then you got the rentals, the kids that are just starting out. They don't get looked down upon for their gear or their guns, most of the time. I mean, sometimes I'm sure, but even the guys that have all the good stuff, they started out that way as well, and so they kind of remember where they came from, and so they're still really welcoming. I was talking to a couple of friends of mine just a couple of weeks ago, and they were like, we always bring extra guns with us, in case one of ours goes down, or if there's a new player that they don't have a good gun, we'll hand it to them. In fact, these two guys who are best friends now, when they first started in airsoft, the way they met was on the field, and the one guy had played a few times before the other kid, and because they were like teenagers when they started, and the one guy who had been playing for a couple times, he gave the new guy like an MP7, like some really good, gun to play with, because he had this little crappy pistol or something. He was like, no, use this. And the kid was so excited about using this really awesome gun, for that whole day. These guys, he started playing all the time, and now these guys are like best friends, known each other for, 20 years, and, are doing their own thing in airsoft with going to all these events and stuff. So it's kind of cool.
I mean, when I first started, I was borrowing guns from other people because I didn't have my own. I thought, no, let me just make sure I get into this properly before I go and spend the money on it.
Right.
So I got given just any gun I could find. And every single time I just stand there and go, oh, this is such a cool gun. Because it's other players' guns, so they make sure it's a good gun.
Yeah.
And it's a new surprise every time you first pull that trigger, because it's like, oh, this one's really responsive. Oh, this one hits hard. So I think it's that excitement of having a really good gun, and then when you get your own, you know what to expect and what you want from your own one. So my whole point of it is just, no matter what gun you get, at the end of the day, you're going to have fun on that field, no matter what you're using.
Yeah, for sure.
There was one kid.
Go ahead.
There was one kid 2 weeks ago. He came there with just a pistol. So he asked us, no, can he have a rental as well? And he went on with the rental for 2 rounds maybe. And he said, no, I'm just going to use my pistol and see how fun it is. I have never seen a kid move so fast on our field, just completely going for it. And he looked like he was in pure bliss, just running through there, killing everyone with that pistol. Afterwards, he comes to us, he's like, no, I just need the pistol. I'm faster with the pistol.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I've talked to a few guys that do that, where they'll only take the pistol on the field just so, kind of different, mix it up gameplay.
We even had a kid once come with those rubber ducks or rubber chickens that squeak?
Oh, yeah.
He ran around with that the whole day and he used it as his melee kill. So he'd come up behind a player and squeak it, and then that's his melee kill.
Oh my God, that's funny. Yeah, because I've seen a couple guys where they do the plastic knives, and they'll just run with that and do the, try to do the silent kills. But yeah, that's pretty funny with the chicken.
I personally wasn't there to see it, but apparently it was hilarious. You just hear the squeak every now and then on the field.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, there's a couple people in the UK where these 2 girls that I did a podcast with, they play together at the same field. It was, in fact, the podcast I did with them was the night that they were going out to dinner for the one of the girls' birthdays. Well, then the next day they were going to play airsoft together. So uh, they posted pictures on their Instagram that I, saw, whatever, they tagged me in it, where they had put I think it was a banana, like a blow up, like a giant banana on the back of the girl it was her birthday. And she didn't know, like somebody taped it to her, or stuck it to her, or whatever. And she didn't know that it was on there for like half the day. So they had all these pictures with her running around with this banana. It was pretty funny. But there's another guy that has, I can't remember if he's in the UK or, but anyway, he wears a helmet, and he glued or fixed a rubber duck on top of his helmet. And it stands out like a sore thumb, like it's big, bright yellow, but he plays with that every time.
That's the nice thing about airsoft to me. It's not just serious. Yes, we all dress up and like to look like we're in the army, and it looks serious, but every now and then you just try and do something a little bit more fun, just to break that serious side of it.
Right.
I've seen photos, I've seen videos of people doing anything they can think of just to make it a bit more fun. And that's the really nice side of it. It's not serious at all. It's actually quite comical, some of the things we do.
Yeah, for sure. Well, there's a lot of cosplayers that play airsoft, or vice versa, and so they're bringing that kind of artistic kind of flair, I guess, to their uniform when they go out and play, for just skirmishes or whatever, and it makes it kind of cool, fun.
Well, we had a Christmas game once where I decided, no, I'm going to make it a little bit more comical. So what I did was take the little red balls you can put on the Christmas tree, and I
Oh
just
yeah.
lined them across my belt. So whenever I ran, they kind of bounced against each other. Just those little grenades made of Christmas balls. It was quite interesting because as
Oh,
I'm
that's
running it,
funny.
I just hear them smack against each other, and everyone knew where I was.
Oh yeah. Like, hey, here I am, shoot me. Now, did they get shot? Did they break?
And they got shot, but they surprisingly didn't break. I thought, no,
Wow.
I'll keep extra with me just in case one breaks, just to keep the whole loadout looking good. And none of them broke,
Oh, that's
even though they
funny.
were shot quite a few times, because people
Yeah.
tried to aim for those red balls because it's a moving target that just clinks around. But surprisingly, they held up.
Oh, that is funny. Yeah. So, what is it like growing up in South Africa? Were you born and raised there?
Yes. Born and raised.
Okay.
It's it's a very interesting lifestyle just because the people, the culture, I mean, you can go anywhere in South Africa and you experience different cultures, different lifestyles altogether. And it's as you get older, you start to appreciate it more and more. So it's it's a constant enrichment, is what I find, just from seeing every different culture that there is and trying every culture's foods, listening to their music. It's just constantly you learning as you go. It's constantly fun and entertaining and just you learn.
Yeah, that sounds cool. I've never, like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about South Africa. So, like, is it in the part that you're in? Is it? Do you guys have the four seasons? Like, do you guys have a winter, or does it get cold there, or is it just all the way, always hot?
The part where I'm in, which is KwaZulu-Natal, we do get four seasons, so we do get winter and autumn, but it's just winter isn't cold. It's a
Mm,
little bit colder than normal, but we don't have freezing temperatures which go below zero or anything like that. The most we get is the lowest we've ever gotten that I know of is I think 11 degrees Celsius, which
okay,
isn't very, very cold.
right,
Because we're used to the tropical weather, we do feel it quite a bit when it gets colder.
right. So, is it like tropical weather? Do you guys get a lot of rain in the like rainy season, or?
Uh, as of lately, no, but usually we do get a lot of rain here, especially summertime and spring, especially spring.
Okay, yeah, because
Nothing.
I was looking at your Instagram, and your gameplay videos or pictures. They're I guess when I heard South Africa, or when I saw on your profile South Africa, it was I guess my expectation was the only thing I know about Africa, and I know it's a huge continent, but you know, the Serengeti, the, you know, kind of like the flatlands, the wildlands, you know, and I see all these woods, and like it looks a lot like here with the wooded areas and stuff. A lot of green.
That's something that I quite enjoy about this country. It's so green here. We have most of our fields are bush fields, so you just go in there and you get dirty, you get covered in leaves as you're running. It's just nature here is very big for us. I mean, where I live now, I look down the hill and it's just trees everywhere. So I've got my own little airsoft field here if I really want to do it.
Oh, that's cool.
But most of the outdoor fields I have been to are all just bush fields. So you go right into the thick of it. You're in bushes, you're covering behind trees. It's just, it's a different sort of play style to what I've seen from other overseas accounts.
Yeah. Now, do you run, what kind of gear do you type or like to run? Like your gun, do you like to land and snipe, you know, run a sniper, or what do you
I
run?
originally started as assault role, so I used to just run around and just run and gun. But I'm actually diagnosed with a heart condition, so I can't actually do that. So I've taken more of a long distance role with my rifle. I just upgraded it to have longer range. So I'm backup.
Yeah. So when
Because with
that,
my
was that recent?
no, I've had the heart condition for a solid 3 years now, and I've only been playing airsoft for two. So I knew about it. I just didn't know how it would affect airsoft.
Mm,
So when I started, I really tried doing it the way I wanted to, but obviously my heart couldn't take it. So I had to kind of find a new play style that suits my issues and making sure that I don't just pass out on the field because that's
yeah.
obviously not what you want.
Yeah, that's not good.
So I've actually taken more of a long range rule. I cover, I'm distance shots, everything like that. So when everyone's running straight towards the other team, I'm sitting a bit more back, making sure that anyone that could hit them first, I get. Just so it gives other people an opportunity to get further.
Yeah, that's good that you didn't let it stop you from going to play.
Airsoft is the first sport that I've actually felt like I belong in. I've tried other ones, especially during high school, but this one's the one that I really felt like I belonged in. So when I knew that my heart wasn't going to be able to let me play how I want to, I wanted to try and change my perspective so that I can still carry on with the sport that I love and keep myself safe at the same time, keep myself healthy.
Yeah, that's good. You know, it's a lot of people. I was just talking to a girl here in the States, and she was talking about how she has asthma pretty bad. So she can't, she did the same thing, I guess, kind of like you did, where she tried in the beginning doing the run and gun thing, and then she's like, no, I can't, because she'll get to the first obstacle and can't breathe for like 10 minutes. So she does, you know, she had to kind of slow it down a little bit, but she still goes and plays.
Funny enough, I do have asthma as well, so I know how she feels.
Uh, yep.
But similar thing used to happen to me. I'd get to that first piece of cover after sprinting as fast as I can, and my legs would just give out, and I'd get dizzy. So I just eventually told myself to stop being stubborn and just try and stay back a bit, just to try and make sure that I can actually last the whole day without needing to sit down and just relax.
Right. Yeah, that way at least you're playing and not sitting on the sideline.
That was the worst part of it when was first trying to figure out what my heart can handle and what it can't. Was I would push myself too far and then have to sit out the rest of the day. So
Uh,
I'd play one round and then I'm stuck just sitting there waiting for everyone else to finish. And obviously that kind of makes you lose your passion a little bit because you feel like you can't do what you want to. And
right.
eventually, I just, as I said, I told myself to stop being stubborn and just take the rest when I need it and just hang back a bit.
Yeah. Well, that's good. You adjusted so you can go out there and play with your team. So, how did you come up with your Instagram name? Is that your call sign as well?
Yes, it is my call sign as well. Funny enough, that I used to, when I first started, I was really trying to figure out what my call sign should be.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remembered back when I used to play Call of Duty and all those games, one of the people I used to play with called me Renegade because I wouldn't listen to anything he said to do. So
It's
I just,
funny.
I was like, well, it kind of fits. So I'm just going to use that, and it worked.
That is cool. Now, the One Legion, is that the team you're a part of?
Yes, I'm part of One Legion South Africa, and I think there's so many One Legion teams internationally because it's an international team.
Mm.
So I've actually just recently joined, but they've been going here for a long time. I actually started Airsoft playing with them. I became friends with them and I used to run with them all the time. And now I've been added to the team, which was just amazing because I get to play with the people that I started with.
Right. Oh, that's cool. Well, how did you go from paintball to, or I guess, how did you get started in paintball first and then switch over to airsoft?
Well, I've never been the kind of person who enjoys normal sports, I suppose, mainstream ones.
Mm-hmm.
So I've heard about paintball and I went to go try it. And I thought, no, this is a bit more of an adrenaline rush, which I really like. But the issue was I would get home and just be blue from bruises because paintballs leave huge bruises. And
That's how I
eventually,
started out with paintball, so I know.
and also here in South Africa, paintball guns are really, really expensive, more expensive than airsoft guns.
Mm.
So I couldn't afford to carry on with it. And then I heard about airsoft through paintball. And I really tried to find where to go. And I was struggling for about a year to try and figure out where I can go try airsoft. And eventually I got my opportunity. And I thought, just in case I go home with bruises again, let me just take photos the first time, see how it is. And just from watching that first time, I immediately got hooked. The second time I went, I had my BBs, I had everything I needed. I just needed a gun. So I borrowed a gun and I got on that field, and that's where everything started.
Yeah, I when we started our YouTube channel, I used to make fun of these guys for when they first told me they were getting into airsoft. I was like, whatever. That's for, whenever you're ready to switch over to paintball, that's where it's at, And they were like, no, 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 no. You got to check out these new guns because, when our kids were growing up, they had those little Springer pistols. And I was like, I thought that's what airsoft was. I didn't know they had all these really cool, realistic looking guns. And, because in paintball, well, the guns look cool, but they don't look like real guns. They're not replicas. And so, and I didn't think these little BBs would hurt. So I'm like, yeah, okay, you go play your thing. I'll just go ahead and film and whatever. But it wasn't long into our channel that I found out uh, the guns are cool as hell, uh, and it does hurt. So, oh yeah,
Especially on the really, really sensitive spots like your neck or any place like that, you just immediately feel that sting and you
oh
know
yeah.
immediately what happened to you.
Now,
But
did you ever go play without gloves and get shot in the knuckles?
I have actually done that once. I forgot my gloves at home and I thought, no, 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 I'll be fine, I'll be fine. And then I actually got hit on the tip of the fingernail. And that was the worst pain I've ever experienced in airsoft or paintball. I looked the next day and my finger was just blue from that one BB.
Yeah,
So I learned my lesson that day, always bring your gloves.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, when these guys started, uh, and I've told this story 100 times. So anyone that's listening to this, I apologize. You've heard this 500 times, but I, uh, I would, like I said, I was making fun of these guys because, I grew up with paintball, and then I said, go ahead and shoot me. It ain't gonna hurt. So I had them shoot me in the top of my hand right here. I just stuck my hand out like this, and they were not far away, probably 40 feet, and they shot me full auto with a gun, and it was extremely painful. So I learned.
Especially with full auto, you really feel full auto on those
Oh
guns.
yeah. Yeah, I have a picture on
But
our Instagram of my hand after they shot it. It looks pretty gnarly.
it can look gnarly. I mean, I've played at multiple different fields, and the one field I'll never forget. We were playing in an old truck bay, so broken down trucks, all that stuff. So I'm sliding around, I'm not caring at all. The next day, I look down and my legs are so bruised from BBs and also just the ground itself. So that you can get really nasty bruises
Oh
from
yeah,
airsoft.
definitely. Yeah, I got. We went to a an event, a 3-day mil sim, just last weekend, and I went as a photographer with the press pass. So I had a plate carrier on. Well, you know, it comes down, I guess, about here, and so I was right in the middle of these two guys, you know, like a firefight, and I'm trying to film and not get my camera broke, and trying to stay out of their way. So this guy comes around the corner and shoots, didn't see me, and so I got a stripe of BBs up here, but you know most of them hit my plate carrier. One hit right here, and I still have a mark there. But I loved it. You know, I was like, yes, finally, you know, because that was my first time going to one of these bigger events with these guys. So it was really fun, you know, but I had a great time, but at least I got the one scar at an official game where I could, you know, show off.
It's actually funny how much of an adrenaline rush you can get when you finally get shot, when you've been waiting for it the entire time. You just stand there and go, yes, finally. Okay, now I can carry on with what I'm doing.
I know one of the girls I was talking to like a month ago, she says she went to a field like right around the time her and I were doing a podcast. She's like, yeah, I hadn't played for a long time. So I went and, you know, it was a few weeks, whatever, when I went back, uh, I was telling somebody there, like before the game started, like, oh, I'm really nervous about getting shot because I haven't played for a while. And the marshal, like the admin, whatever, heard her and turned around and shot her with a pistol, like in the leg or, you know, somewhere where it didn't hurt too much. But he's like, oh, I'll take care of that for you. And shot. He's like, oh, okay, I'm good now. Yeah.
You understand that. I took probably a 3 month break from Airsoft, and when I went back that first game, I thought, oh no, I'm rusty. I won't be able to really get back into it really quickly. And after that first time I got shot, immediately back into it. That adrenaline came right back, and I was on that field everywhere. It
Yeah.
was hard to come sit still. So I do understand that, like, fear for it, but as soon as it happens, you kind of realize, you know what, it's not as bad as I thought it would be, and just carry on.
Right. Yeah, that's what I loved about paintball as well when I played a lot. It was that anticipation. You know, when
Hmm.
the game starts and you're out there, we'll be out there creeping around in the woods, and then you start hearing somebody, you know, some shots fired. You're like, oh, you know, and then you start getting hit. I remember I got hit. I had one of those masks that's it was a full mask, and then it had this like you know shield in the front right here, like a separate one, and they had vents on the side. So
Okay.
I turned my head, and I got shot a couple times right here where it glanced off, and it went in, and as the paintball broke, like the shell of it hit my lip and my tooth, and I had a huge fat lip because the guy was pretty close as well. But I mean, it hurt like hell, but it was so exciting. I loved it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
They say that paintball and airsoft are for the weird people, the nerds, and it really is true, because who else would want to get shot and feel excited about it?
right. Well, not only that. Well, like we were talking earlier, like the cosplay thing, and you know, dressing up. Like a lot of airsofters, like, we're all kind of nerdy, and like we're gamers. There's a lot of artists that I've met, cosplay, uh, guys and girls into 40, you know, the games like 40,000 or D&D.
Yeah, I'm also guilty of being a gamer and kind of an artist. I do draw a little bit every now and then, but also a big movie fanatic, Harry Potter, all those ones.
Oh, okay.
In general, you find that most airsofters are into those big franchises. They're gamers, as you said. It's all the people that fit into their own special mold, and we just find each other and
Right.
just carry on.
You know what I think is cool too about airsoft is you have that whole group of people like that, right? Where I think there's this, it's kind of merged a lot or brought a lot of people together from different backgrounds and different kind of ideals and stuff that it normally wouldn't have. So, or I guess people that normally wouldn't congregate together, like you got the athletes. You know, like in high school, you got, you know, football players or whatever, you know, athletes, and then you got nerds that, you know, they kind of stay away from each other too, you know, a lot. But airsoft, you've got all these guys that are, a lot of them are military veterans, come out, they're athletes, you know, or played football or whatever in high school, and then you got guys that are and girls that are nerds and gamers and all these different mix of backgrounds. And when they get on the field, man, once they meet each other and get out there and play, or even just online, you know, when they start following each other online, it's a really cool community because of all these different people with different backgrounds.
I think that's the one part that really sold me on airsoft. It wasn't even just the sport itself. It was that welcoming family community. No one really cares where you came from, what kind of background you have. You're here now. Now you're part of the community.
Yep.
So it's what really held me onto airsoft, because you immediately feel like this is where, you know, you seen, you heard, and you just feel like you belong there.
Absolutely.
Your interests are their interests, and even if they have different ones to you, you learn about theirs. It's just, as I said, a one big community that just comes together and shares their views on things.
Yeah, for sure.
And with people as well. That's the biggest part of it. That's the most
Right.
enjoyable.
I know. I know. I was talking to one guy. He's like, man, once I found airsoft, I was like, what? I can go shoot people and not go to jail? It's great.
I say that every time I've been away for a while, I just sit there and think, you know what? I finally get to do Call of Duty in real. I get to
Right.
shoot people without getting into jail.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Yeah, that's cool. So when you go to play, you guys have like a big team? Is it 5, 10 people, or how do you guys run usually?
Well, usually the field that I go to, we have players coming in at about, I think the most we've had was about 50 players.
Okay.
In one field, that's 25, 25 each side. And because one legion plays at that field as well, we'll either play together or mix a team up so that we kind of just switch things up a little bit, give each other a bit more of a competition, because now you get to chase your teammate around.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and nobody likes the games where it's all one-sided. Like if one side is really, really good, because then it's boring for both sides. Like these guys don't like, you know, spending all day walking back to spawn. The team that's better doesn't like waiting for them to come back. So yeah, it's nice to mix it up.
It gets really interesting sometimes because we'll mix it up in a certain way that just works perfectly. And that entire day, it's just team versus team, this ultimate death match, just everyone trying to really outdo the other one, and just it's chaos, but in the most fun way possible.
Yeah, that's cool. What field do you guys go to? What's the name of your guys' field that you play at a lot?
It's called Airsoft Anonymous. So it's actually in Durban, in KwaZulu-Natal. So it's a very popular field on this side. We've had many people say, no, no, they just Googled Airsoft in Durban, and we are the first people that come up.
Hmm.
So it's kind of a proud moment because that is your favorite field. That's your home field. To hear that is just, you feel proud of your field. And it's a unique field in the sense that it is a bush field, but we do have that CQB factor in the middle of it. So you get your bush vibe trying to get through the thick of it, and then you get straight into this chaotic CQB center, and it's just BBs flying everywhere.
Yeah, you start hearing the BBs hit the walls. You're like, oh, look out.
It's actually at that field where I learned properly how to duck very quickly.
Oh, right. Yeah, for sure.
You just hear that all too familiar past your ear, and you just know, just duck down and stay down for 5 seconds because you're going to come up and have one straight to the forehead.
I know that's so common too because you know the mask usually ends, you know, somewhere up here above your eyebrows, And I've seen so many people where they get shot like right in this little area, and they'll have this huge knot on their head.
The funniest thing is I don't run full face protection, so I run glasses, cap, and a half face mesh.
Mm.
And for some reason, that small little gap in between my eye protection and my cap, that is just the perfect spot for BBs to get to. I get out of game sometimes, and I just see, I can feel 2 or 3 little bumps already forming.
Oh
Because
yeah.
that's, a BB will just find its way into that perfect little spot and just hone in on that.
I don't know why it's like that, but it's like that with everyone I've talked to and everyone I've seen. So if they have like a little red dot scope, or, a red dot sight or whatever, or a little scope uh, on their gun, or if they're running like a GoPro on their gun or on their shoulder or whatever, or that little tiny spot that's open between their helmet and their goggles, it's like those smallest spots are BB magnets, and their lens gets broke, or their sight, or that little tiny lens on the, the GoPro is the thing that gets shot. Like, I don't understand that.
There's also a common thing where halfway through the day, you'll hear someone say, "Oh no, I haven't been hit here yet." And then they've called it out now. So it's going to happen next
It's
round,
gonna
and
happen,
true as anything, it happens next round.
right?
I'll never forget the one day I said, "You know what, I haven't had a headshot yet. No one's shot me in the head yet." That next round, that first BB that hit me was on my head.
Oh my gosh. It's so weird how that works.
It's like
Yeah,
you jinx, and then the BB just knows. It
yep,
knows.
it knows. There was a lady that I follow her on Instagram. It was a different girl than what I was talking about before. She had a birthday, and at that field that she plays at, if it's your birthday, everyone on the field at the end of the game shoots you with their gun in the back. So she had a picture of, or a little short video of everyone shooting her in the back, and she was probably 50 feet away or whatever. She wasn't, I mean, a little too close, honestly, for that many people shooting. But so I mean, it had to hurt like crazy. So she had a picture after that of her shirt pulled up, and it was just riddled with red dots. I mean, it looked so painful. I was like, what kind of birthday present is that?
There's a similar thing at the field we play at. So if it's someone's birthday, then we tell them, okay, no, everyone else line up in 2 single rows, and they have to run through that. So as soon as they start running, you just see all guns just trace immediately and follow as they run.
Oh,
You just see welts everywhere on their body. It's not just your back, it's your arms, it's your sides, it's everywhere.
whew.
I've I've avoided it so far, but now that I've said it, probably my next birthday I'm gonna have it.
See, we talked about it. Yeah. So you just got to make sure nobody knows your birthday when you go to the field.
And it's a bit too late for that. The entire team knows. So I either have to not be there that day, or I have to really, really, really talk them out of it.
Just wear extra layers, bunch of long sleeve shirts and, padding.
The issue is that there will be that one spot that isn't properly layered, and they will all find it.
You'll just have one giant red mark with that little, in the spot that's open.
It's honestly perfect how it always works out. And especially with my team, we like to joke around with each other. So as soon as one person knows that, okay, this part is not properly covered, everyone will know to aim for that spot, just as a joke.
For sure. Now, do you have any family or whatever that's into airsoft with you? Brothers, sisters,
No,
cousins, or anything that? Okay.
just me. My
Yeah.
dad really is cool, but he can't do it because he's got really bad knees. So he just likes to see the photos, that kind of stuff. And then my mom thinks I'm crazy for doing it because she says I'm just literally going for pain. I just enjoy the pain, obviously.
Oh
And
yeah.
my brother says absolutely not. He will not do that. He is not getting shot. So it's just me and my family. That's the odd one out.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, I was talking to a guy a couple weeks ago. His brother was more of like the athlete when they were growing up, and he's an artist. and he was saying that he would have never gotten to airsoft except for when COVID happened and everything got locked down. He was stuck in the house. He was bored and he was looking for something to do, so he was kind of looking around online, and he's like, I'm going to order an airsoft gun and just shoot in my backyard, just shoot little cans or whatever. Well, then he just started finding all these videos. Once he started shooting like that, he's like, oh, now I got to get, a good gun. And then he started going to a field, and now he's, big into it. And he actually has a YouTube channel, or yeah, he has his own YouTube channel. And he films when he goes to play. He has a blast.
I've also considered doing a YouTube channel, but the only issue for me is actually wearing a GoPro, because obviously the best place to put it is on your head, on the helmet, but because of my heart condition and me overheating causing issues, I can't wear a helmet. So that's the only reason I haven't started it yet, but I would love to do it. So I'm going to try and figure out a way to do it eventually.
Yeah, you'll figure it out. There's a couple options. If you wear like a chest rig or even a plate carrier, if you wear anything like that, the chest rig has the shoulder straps that come over. If you wear something like that, they have attachments for, putting it on like your, because I've seen guys run the GoPro instead of on their head, on their shoulder, like up here. And it looks really similar. In fact, some of it looks a little better, especially if you put it on the side. If you're right-handed, you put it on your right shoulder. You can see down the gun, kind of like the first-person view in a video game. So it looks kind of cool, Yeah. The only drawback to that is you can't, when you're sitting or standing still, if you are looking around, it doesn't, you don't catch that. You just have to kind of turn your shoulders.
The one thing I've seen that does look quite cool, if I ever consider sniper roles, is a sniper cam. So you just put it on your scope, and on the videos you can actually see that BB following through and actually hitting someone, which is cool because you don't see that in any other footage. It's just on that zoomed in sniper cam that you can see it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's like Kicking Mustang. One of his channel, or like a lot of his stuff, Swamp Sniper, a lot of these guys that do those the scope cams like that. It's fun to watch, especially the farther shots, and they slow it down. You can see. 'Cause I saw this one Kicking Mustang video a couple days ago where this guy kept peeking his head out, and he wasn't wearing any kind of face protection, just the goggles, and he kept getting hit like in the head and the ear. So then he would walk back to spawn, and he'd come back right to the same exact spot and do the same thing. And so he shot him again. Shot him in the ear. I was like, dude, quit going to the same spot. You're going to keep getting shot there. Like, what are you doing?
So many people make that mistake. I've learned very quickly, never go to the same spot twice. Because people just watch you and wait for you. But I actually saw Kicking Mustang, I think, was recently in South Africa.
That's right.
I unfortunately didn't go to that Milsim. I really wanted to, but life does get in the way sometimes.
Sure.
But from what I've seen so far, he and I think name's Nico, both of them really enjoyed their time here, I think. Because from just Instagram videos I've seen, it was one crazy Milsim that I've missed. But
yeah,
I think with the success, there will be another one next year, so I'm definitely going to be at that one.
Yeah, that's cool. So was that in an area close enough to where you could go to something like that? Where he was?
Fairly close. It's about a 6 hours drive from here. So it's one of those drives that you do once a year just to make sure you've actually experienced it.
Yeah.
But it's definitely something I'm looking at for next year. Because if it was this successful this time, it's going to be happening again next year, hopefully.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, that's 6 hours isn't terrible. That's you probably don't want to do it in one day, for like a weekend though, if you have to stay over. That's not bad.
Well, luckily, there are people in Joburg I can go stay at, well, me and my boyfriend. So, luckily, it's just a drive there, and we can stay, and then go to the Milsim, and then go back, and then just eventually, when we feel we have enough energy to drive back down, then we can do it.
Yeah.
So, it's luckily not that rushed feeling where okay, if you leave that day, go straight to the Milsim, and then from there, go straight back to the house. So you do have that little bit of a breather time if you do it that way.
Right. Yeah, the mill sim we went to last weekend, it was only 2.5 hour drive from our house. It was here in South Carolina where we're at, but it was like way down at the bottom of the state. And but it was, close enough to where we drove there, we stayed the whole weekend, and we drove back, right after the event was over. It wasn't too bad. Actually, I didn't even drive. I just sat in the truck. My son was driving, so I just took a nap on the way back.
I will admit, even if you're just photographer at Milsom's, it drains you. The first Milsom I ever went to, that next day, I was down for a 6-hour nap after that. And you
Oh
just
yeah.
get home, and your entire body just goes, okay, I'm done. I need sleep now.
Well, this is so my legs were, I mean, just wrecked. I was my legs were so worn out. I was the way we started our channel, I was paralyzed, and for a couple years, and then as I started getting better, then I started filming and editing, just doing stuff on the computer. So I couldn't walk around very much. So this event was my first time since we started our channel going to a big event like that and trying to walk all the this huge field, trying to get in there and get pictures. And I walk pretty slow. So and I get slower and slower as I keep walking, so my legs get so worn out. So my calves felt like rubber bands. Like I was just like, I think I'm gonna fall over. But so I'd get in a spot and just stand for a little while, and then I could walk a little bit. So by Sunday, I got up Sunday morning. Now we slept on the field, so we slept in tents. We camped out. So I get up Sunday morning, and I crawl out of the tent because I couldn't stand up. And we had a big cooler full of beer. So I crawled over to the cooler and pushed myself up. And I have not felt my muscles be that sore probably since boot camp in the military. I'm not kidding. Like, it was a lot of pain. So, but anyway, but I did a few shots of whiskey and drank a couple beers in the morning, and it felt great. So.
But with you just being photographer for that Milsom, it's still fun. I
Yeah.
play photography sometimes when I can't really play normally, and I've realized it's actually just as fun as playing because there are some things you see as photographer that you wouldn't normally see playing. So you see
Right.
the extra cool moments that are happening. You see the really, really good kills that people are getting. And when you're playing, just as you normally would, you don't notice those things because you're more focused on making sure you don't get hit. You're making
Hmm.
sure where you have to try and aim, where people are moving. So you're constantly in that mind frame that you don't see those extra little moments that you normally see as a photographer.
Right. Yeah, that's what I got was, because I was able to get in a spot where I was pretty much in the middle of where they, all this action was going to be happening once they started. And that's how I got shot, because I was right in the middle where all these teams were coming up, and I was standing so I'm watching kind of up on this hill. And so I could see all these guys coming, and these guys that were up here couldn't see these guys that were down here coming up the hill yet, but I could. I'm like, oh, here we go. Some shit's about to go down. So, so I'm filming like, oh, yep, yep. So unfortunately, I didn't turn fast enough to get the guy filming the guy that was shooting at me, because that would have been really cool for the camera, for the film. But yeah, I had a great time getting to see all these different areas of the field. And then they had a helicopter as well. I don't know if you saw any of the stuff on my Instagram, but I had the one time, in fact, it was right after I got shot. I was walking around, trying to get out of that hot spot there, and this helicopter came across the top of the building and went right over my head really low. So I filmed the whole thing, and it's carrying a team of guys that are shooting down at those guys. So I got some pretty good footage of these guys in the helicopter, coming over the top of the building. It was really cool.
I would love to experience that personally because that would have been, you would feel like you're in an action movie in that moment,
Oh
which
yeah.
I would just stand there in complete or just, no way.
Yeah, and it was like right as it came around, it was like right here, and I was like, "Oh, this is cool." But you know who has? There's one of the guy. I mean, there's a lot of people that do this. You know, film from the helicopter. But there's House of Jackals. So if you go to House of Jackals on Instagram, or you know, they have a YouTube channel, all their guys always buy a helicopter ticket at these events. And so they have some really good footage from up there while they're shooting down, which is really fun to watch.
That's definitely something I need to try and do while I'm playing airsoft, is actually get in a helicopter and shoot down, because that has to be a whole different playing field then.
Yeah, that
Because
would be
now
cool.
you literally feel like you're one of those really badass action movie heroes while you're sitting there. It has to be
Right?
so.
Yeah, he said anytime they go to an event, if they offer, you know, if they're going to have a helicopter there, if they offer tickets, they always get it because it's so worth it, you know, just going around and doing that. Well, the other cool thing was, too, you have to pay extra for the ticket for the helicopter, but what they added in was you get the helicopter ride, and they'll take you around a couple times around the field, and then they drop you off in the back of the field, like in a different location, and they gave these guys a special mission to run with the admins or the marshals. You know, they like a secret mission. So they would go, I guess, like a bounty hunter kind of thing or something like that. They would have to go out, you know, find somebody or take, you know, a certain team out or something. And so they got to be part of that as well, which makes it really fun and kind of breaks up the gameplay a little bit, rather than just, you know, everybody running at each other. You know, it sounded really cool.
It has to be so fun, because also you feel a little bit more into it if you're in those special missions.
Right.
In Cape Town, I went there once and just experienced the fields that side. And I'll never forget, the most fun gameplay I've had down that side was, it was a whole scenario where we were this one special team that had to go in to the CQB area and retrieve a prisoner that was actually held in a little makeshift jail cell. So we had to actually run in there against everyone else and try and extract that prisoner. The one guy had to use bolt cutters to try and get into the lock. It was just a
Oh
whole different
shit,
experience. I absolutely loved it.
that is
And
cool.
as you're running out, you just stand there and you see everyone respawning. I don't think I've ever ran that fast in my life. Because I saw those guys coming down the hill and I was gone. I was not sticking around to find out what happened.
Oh, that's funny. You know, it's these big events like that where they have all those different kind of game types and stuff. They most people you talk to that have never played airsoft or really don't know that much about airsoft, they have no clue how big some of these events are, or you know how involved they can be with those kind of objectives, because you know you're talking to them, they're like, what, like you guys do that, like that, you know, because it's some really involved objectives, or you know, that really make it fun to do stuff like that. It makes it exciting, and especially to hear the stories. I love hearing these guys' stories when they come back from these events, like what you just told. You know, where you have to get a prisoner out of there, or take over, you know, a point or something like that. It's pretty cool.
I've played multiple different ones. When I started Airsoft, I thought it was just team deathmatch, where it's one team versus the other.
Yeah.
But I've played extraction ones. At the field I play at here, we have a bomb scenario. So it's an actual fake bomb that is actually armed. So the counter goes down, everything. So you have to try and get to that. And then there's a radio waiting there, and you have to use the radio to find out what the code is to de-arm that bomb. And then you have to try to carry it back to your spawn point before the enemy team gets it.
Oh,
It's
that's cool.
we've played that one. There's capture the flag often. There's all those real nice objective games that, as a new player, you don't expect.
Right.
So you kind of go into it and you just think, "Ah, it's just going to be one team versus the other," and then you just exposed to this whole different side of it. There's just objectives. You get special side missions on some of them. It's just, as I've explained to some of the younger kids, whenever we do objectives, I just look at them and go, if you've ever played Call of Duty multiplayer, it's that. Different scenarios. So just listen to what needs to be done and go for it.
Yeah. Yeah, those are,
But
I love to hear those different game modes and game types, and yeah, it's fun.
it really is. And even the normal matches are fun.
Yeah.
Because, as I said, even though it's the normal game type, there's always something different.
Hmm.
Sometimes when teams are perfectly matched, as I said, there's chaos on that field. Other times it's more of a sneaking around trying to find everyone. So even the normal matches are always slightly different, depending on who's playing, what the teams are like. It's it's never the same thing twice, which
Yeah.
I enjoy.
Yeah, for sure. Well, listen, it's been great to meet you.
It was good to meet you too. I
Yeah,
had
I'm
fun.
really glad. Yeah, I'm glad we were able to get on here. It was cool. I look forward to doing this sometime in the future. You know, after a few months, whatever, and get back with you, and maybe you get your boyfriend on here. You guys play together?
Oh yeah, we're in the same team actually.
Okay, good. Yeah, that'd be.
but but it was very fun because this is also my first podcast, so I was a bit nervous because naturally
Oh,
it's
sure.
a bit more, but it was actually really fun. I enjoyed myself, and I'd definitely love to do it again. And it was
Thank
nice
you.
meeting someone from another country because we
Yeah,
shared a.
absolutely. Well, thank you again, and it was great to meet you. And hopefully, talk to you soon.
Yeah, definitely. Just let me know.
Absolutely. Have a good night.
You too. Later.